Welcome to Celebrity Spotlight Radio, and we have a few important guests. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the film. Icon is an upcoming of age drama set in St. Petersburg, Florida, about skateboarder Sam Parker Padgett, who's struggling with potentially becoming a father with girlfriend Anna, who's played by Devon Hales, as he looks at himself with reflection and question the icons that have defined his life. The film also stars Julia Denton and Tony Demil. It's directed by Tony Ahedo, which he also wrote, produced, and edited. So we're pleased to have the director, Tony Ahedo, and the lead actor, Parker Padgett, who plays Sam Tolentino Jr. in the film Icon, joining us today. Welcome, gentlemen. How's it going? Doing all good. So how's the press day, the first day of press day today? How's it going so far?
It's going well.
Yeah, going pretty well. Very excited to talk about the film, and we're just days away from the release. So
yeah, that's great. I saw your film. So wow. So Tony, you did this all of it. You produced it, edited it, directed it, you wrote it. I mean, that's a lot of a lot of stuff going on there.
it is a lot. It's a very personal film to me, and something I kind of wanted to see all the way home. I've been developing this film since 2014, just
Right.
slowly, not nonstop, working on different things in between. But I always kind of knew it was going to be my first narrative feature film that I wanted to do. So and then just ended up taking up a couple of the other roles. So
I always ask the film directors where they came up with the title, because to me, what's the story behind that title, Icon?
So the short story I wrote, also titled Icon, was all about having this idea of a person in your head that maybe you knew when you were younger, or it could be somebody you knew from high school. It could be, in my case, it was a parent that I didn't know. It was my dad. And so I had this idea of them. They were like an icon in my head. It was icon of like a superhero icon. They were awesome. They're just like a bigger version of me.
Right.
And I kind of had that image kind of shattered, and it was a very, very big transformative experience for myself as a young man, which kind of just spawned the entire film. And I always just felt it was important just to kind of keep that name, which is kind of important to Sam and important to the story. He's always had this one icon and not looking at kind of the other ones that have been in his life there for him.
Right. So this film is personal for you then.
Very personal.
Very much so. When I first got sent the material, I try not to read the synopsis of the film. I try to watch the film and get a whole, feedback towards it. And I was drawn onto it, and I was drawn on you, Parker, on that film. And I just want to let you know that your charisma stood out, and you look, I don't know if everybody ever told you this, but you look like Patrick Dempsey when he was young.
Patrick Dempsey.
Right. Do you ever
I appreciate that. I was curious who you were going to say, because I typically get Patrick Dempsey on occasion, or Sean Penn, or Shia LaBeouf. So I was curious where you're headed with that, but I appreciate your kind words.
Well, the fact is, your acting ability, your emotional in the film stood out. And I just want to know how did you prepare for that role? I mean, because it was very intense, and it's hard because this film actually works for everyone, and I believe the teenagers should watch this film, because I myself, I'll be honest with you, I'm like you, Tony. I was young, and I got my girlfriend pregnant and I married her. So, you know, so it does fit the whole premise of the film. So how did you get ready for the role?
Well, for me, a lot of it has to do with just character work and kind of really getting to know who Sam is and what makes him tick and what is behind the decisions that he makes. And I've always been a firm believer that a lot of those decisions, a lot of those small kind of aspects of a character, are derived from choices and from interests that are not shown on screen or are not explicitly written in the script. So for me, taking on the role of Sam, it was important to, you know, what is Sam's favorite music? What does he listen to when he's at the skate park? What is maybe his favorite movie that he, you know, every teenager has a favorite movie that maybe they draw some character aspects from. So what is that for Sam? What are his friends like? Who's the group that he hangs out with apart from his two friends that are shown in the film? So on and so forth. What has gone on between him and his mom that predates the beginning of this film? All of that to me was very important in kind of creating this real life character of Sam who has real problems and real heartfelt decisions that he has to make when, you know, his life kind of starts to hit the rough.
Yeah, how was it working with the actress Devon Hales? How was working with her?
It was incredible. I mean, Devon is a very, very good actress. She's had quite a bit more studio experience than I have prior to this film. So it was an honor to get to learn from her and kind of hear her perspective on not only this film, but the acting industry on the whole. But working with her was just an absolute pleasure, very professional. And with Tony's direction, I think there was a really great chemistry that was built, and hopefully that shows through in the film as well.
Well, Tony did a great job on that. That's for sure, because you guys were on the money, you know, and you know, the trailer alone, when I saw it, brought me to see, I want to see the film. So, so Tony, you did a great job there. What message would you like to send to your audience with this film, Tony?
So, you know, this is a film all about choice and choices. And I just kind of hope that anybody watching it that may be going through something similar, or, you know, is maybe thinking about maybe their parents, or, you know, if they're going through a pregnancy, that they're just, you know, maybe can open up a discussion with their loved ones. You know, a lot of the things that happened to Sam could have been most likely avoided with a simple conversation with his mom.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of that when you're a kid and like you're just kind of so scared of repercussions, or, you know, scared of doing things, and, you know, definitely being, you know, man back in, you know, being a kid, because this film is set in 2010, at least the mindset back then was, you're the man, you got to take care of stuff, you got to man up, kind of. And it was that
Yeah.
masculinity thought that, you know, I just kind of wanted to show. It's a different side of pregnancy stories that we don't normally see. So I'm just hoping, you know, maybe somebody out there can relate to it.
So who is your mentor when it comes to film, you know, directing? Obviously, we all have mentors in the film world. I do. Ted Kotcheff is mine. He was my friend and mentor for many years on Special Victims Unit, Law and Order. So I'm a filmmaker myself. I've been around for a long time, and I do Celebrity Spotlight Radio because I love independent film and I like to bring it out to the world. It's a way of helping, you know, and that's what I like to do. So obviously, you have a great eye in film, and I know you got it from somewhere. It also comes in from inside of you, but I know you have that one person you say, wow, you know, I want to be better than him or just like him or her.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And one that I have not thought about. But yeah, so, you know, in terms of inspiration, I mean, there's a lot of great directors. In terms of like having a personal mentorship, haven't been fortunate enough to have a mentor. For me, before I did this movie, I just experimented. I tried to figure it out myself, and I made a lot of short films. I think I've done about 10 before I kind of crossed this path, and I did try to do a whole narrative TV series, which would probably equal to, a feature film or two. But I was like, this is where I'm going to make all my mistakes. This is where I'm going to do this. So when I get to Icon, I know what works. I know my style. I know the shots I like. I know where where I want to go. But yeah, just doubling back in terms of inspiration, direction. I love comedy. I love horror. I've always liked John Carpenter. I think what he did with the original Halloween movie all the way back then was just, it changed my life. Scared me as a kid. I still have nightmares.
So are you gonna do? Is that your next thing, to do a horror film? Is that what you're gonna?
Yeah, I really want to into that.
Cool. Because I'm into horror a lot too, and I got good friends in horror like Tony Tapone. He used to be the editor of Fangoria magazine, and he's
Wow.
one of the programmers to Fantasia Film Festival. And he enlightened me in that whole territory of horror. But this film here, Icon, great visuals and the flashbacks. Loved them. Was it difficult for you to see your own film and relive that part of your life?
So yes and no. I mean, I think the most difficult scene for me to watch was the end scene with the mom, and when Sam is sitting down with them and they're having that emotional kind of moment, because and then we go into the flashbacks and it's really beautiful. And I have a very deep connection with my mom. And a lot of the storyline, if I could probably say like what's true about Icon is majority of the mom storyline, and going through those kinds of emotions. And
Right.
the letter that she reads to Sam, or at the end, that's just kind of in a voiceover, is something that I adapted from a letter that my mom wrote me. So it's one of those things where like it's very personal to kind of see it all come together. But I've been talking about it since 2014, so kind of got a lot of my therapeutic stuff out when I was talking about my dad back then. So by now, it's almost been 10 years about me talking about that. It's just kind of another thing to me.
I love directors that do things based on a true story. Ron Howard taught me a long time ago. He said, if you have a story to tell it. Just write it, tell it, shoot it. And because it's passionate and it's part of it, and that's why a lot of it, if you see that he does films based on true fact, true stories, and he elaborates on it. A lot of people can learn by it, because you're like, wow, this really happened, and watching your film, it brought me back as a teenager myself. So I could imagine how, and you know what, the whole abortion ban and stuff, and I'm into political and stuff, but this film came in the right time, because a lot of people are going through that, especially the kids today, and maybe it'll get resolved by watching this. I'd love to know from you, Parker, how was the whole casting process of this film? Was it tough?
Sure. So it started on the set of a film called Surviving Lunch, is where I met Tony. He was on the crew of that film, and he had mentioned something about potentially wanting to work together in the future. Quite a bit of time passes, and I receive a quick text from Tony. Hey, I'd like for you to audition for this. It's a movie I'm going to start production on fairly soon. I sent in a video audition, which I always prefer auditioning in person, if I'm being completely honest. It was, if I'm being honest, and Tony will attest this too, the video audition was not my best work. But it was good enough for Tony to say, hey, we're coming to Orlando, where I currently am, where I was at the time. We're going to do an in-person callback. And I showed up in all of my best skater attire, and just, read from the heart. And I think from that moment, hopefully from Tony's perspective too, we kind of clicked and we're like, okay, we need to move forward from this and really create something special. So yeah, the audition process for me is always something that's difficult, but also incredibly fun, because it means that you're on the brink of potentially being part of something that's really special, something that's hopefully going to create a difference, and be memorable to people, across the nation, the world, even. So.
Yeah. So working with Tony, how was that? Was it like an experience?
Just incredible. I mean, you asked Tony about like mentors in his life, and I can safely say that Tony has served as a mentor to me in terms of the film industry and acting. He's just given me, so as a director, he's phenomenal, first and foremost. He's very collaborative. He listens to the actors, and he wants the best experience for everybody involved. He has a knack for assembling a team, and a really great vision that I feel blessed to have been a part of. But on a more personal note too, he's given me some very good advice in terms of what I can do moving forward to perpetuate my acting skills, and just inspiration. He's said some very, good things to me that I take to heart and strive to put forth into my work going forward. So.
Yeah, well, watching you doing the whole emotional scene was amazing, because I know for a fact that is very hard to do. James Gandolfini on The Sopranos, I used to watch him, get ready to do that role, and right when it says action, he builds up, to do that, and then lets himself on fire, lets himself go. Director David Chase would just say action, to see that, did you do the same? Like when Tony goes action, did you like bam? And how did you?
So first off, Sopranos, great shout out right there. A lot of great acting in that TV series. Yeah, I would say something similar maybe that I do is, obviously you have to remember your lines. However, I never really give the lines my all until I hear that first action from Tony. So if I'm reciting it, I read it in a very neutral tone. I try not to read that in the mind of the character, because I want the first time that I experience it to be caught on camera, because that's what acting in my mind is all about, is creating that sense of naturalism, this idea that that person is really going through what you're seeing on the screen. So yeah, there is a buildup. There's a lot of music can play a heavy role. There are certain songs that maybe can evoke certain emotions in me that I can then lend to the character. So yeah, a lot goes into it, and it always helps to have a great team around you as well. So yeah, someone that'll give you that space when you need it.
So what's your future like? What's a look?
Hopefully my future has a lot of acting in it, because it's something I really enjoy doing. Y'all were talking about horror not too long ago, and that's something I aspire to do. It's probably my favorite genre too. So to be in a horror film has always been a dream of mine. I'm graduating college at the end of this year and actively seeking representation from talent agencies. I'm currently not represented, so I'm really on the hunt for someone that I think can, help me take on these roles that are so important to me, something that I enjoy doing so much. So by the end of this year, being out of college and everything, it's just going to be auditioning. So hopefully a lot in store.
Excellent. So Tony, you shot this in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm from New York, and I came here 2 years ago before the pandemic, like a few months before the pandemic, because my publicist is here. And I just came here by accident, and then I decided to stay because New York was like going under, So there's no tax incentive here in film and television, you know, and which I'm sorry to say, because New York and a lot of places like Georgia and so on, Atlanta is booming on that. How did you get over on that one? Here.
So yeah, tax incentive would be great if it was in Florida. I just recently moved to Los Angeles. And yeah, but I would love to one day be able to come back and make movies in my state because I love it. You know, for us, when we were looking at where to film the movie, there was not really another option besides St. Pete because the story is kind of set there. And for me, I feel St. Petersburg has its own unique look and has its own unique thing. So just the beauty of the location and it being different, and me knowing a lot of hidden spots because I grew up here, taking Parker to cool overpasses and things like that, the skate parks, all that I was very comfortable with. And I did have, a film commission here that wanted to support me.
Right.
So,
yeah, they're very nice. I'm part of Film Florida. I'm a member of them. An excellent group of people. I believe they interviewed you a while back. Excellent. I network, with them, and coming from New York, coming into Florida, but I still do business in New York and California. But we're trying, and I'm trying to get the whole tax incentive passed. So, because I feel I meet a lot of actors here in Florida, and I feel bad that they have to go to Atlanta or California or other places because the main parts are being cast out there.
yeah.
And they don't have a chance, so they get the secondary here. But anyway, this film being filmed here in Florida, because your story is in Florida, it's great. There's a lot of great places in Florida. I think it's beautiful. And I just think that many people should be filming here, and I hope that will change very soon. Hopefully, next year. If you work hard, you could bring that camera back, Tony.
There's more stories to be told here,
and bring that guy back too, because he's a great actor. I could tell you, and not because you look like Patrick Dempsey. That's not because you have. Let me tell you something. I learned a long time ago from great directors. They said this: there's a difference between a television actor and a movie actor. And a movie actor has charisma. And that's the key. And you have it. You definitely have it. You did a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm just going to close it out. Icon will release across all TVOD digital and Blu-ray platforms throughout North America on August 1st, 2022. You got to watch this film. Check the link below. I'm going to have a link there to the trailer. Please watch this film. It's a great learning experience for everybody. It hits heart, and it's based on a true story, and that's what makes it really great. Great acting, great directing, beautiful movie. God bless you all. Thank you for being on the show. Okay.
Thank you for having us. Much appreciated.
And tell Tony I said thank you.
I will, definitely.
God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless. Have a good day.
You too.